Hey, what's up, YouTube land? Okay, this your girl Treese, and this is my first video. Yeah, and I got Facebook and Instagram today. I did, but on a more serious note, I went back and forth with myself about making this video because I know how people can be online. So I talked myself into doing it, and I was like, somebody is going through this and they need to hear your story. They need to know. So maybe they can, it can prevent somebody. I don't care if it's just one person. Okay, well, what we're going to talk about is domestic violence, guys. Yeah, domestic violence. And it doesn't necessarily have to be a man. It can be a woman, a woman can do the same thing a man can do. And I was with someone, for 17 years, 17 long, long years, okay? When I first met him, he was, you know, we were young, so, of course, no bills, just fun, nothing serious. And I'm from another state, so he and I did long distance for like 4.5 years. So our relationship it was deeper than just the physical because we didn't see each other. All we did was talk those 4 years. That's it. I got to know him, he got to know me, and we had similar backgrounds, as far as like our parents and things we went through when we were young. And, we were each other's outlet to talk about things, because it's easy for a person not to be as judgmental if they're not seeing you every day, you know. So we did that for each other, and eventually I ended up moving in the state that I met him in, which my parents are from here. So, I ended up moving back, and at first it was great, everything was cool, it everything. And all of a sudden, like, I remember saying to myself, like, I would never, be in a situation where a dude putting his hands on me and blah blah blah. You know. And one day, me and my ex, we were at his house and we were hanging out. Hanging out. You know. His mom wasn't there, so we were hanging out. And I'm not quite sure what the argument was about, but we had this huge argument. And his brother was like maybe 12, 11 at the time. So all of a sudden, we took a picture like when we first got started, and he kept that picture. He kept it. And we got into an argument, and I took the picture and balled it up, and he got upset. And when I did that was the first day he put his hands on me. That was the first day. And I just couldn't, believe that it was actually happening because he's the type of person that he doesn't get loud. He can be upset, but I've never heard him like really, really yell. He really just hit you. He's not gonna like go back and forth with you. He'll just put his hands on you. That's what he was doing. So at first, like I said, I never heard him raise his voice to anybody, not even me. So I was not expecting that from him. So after that, I went home, and I was, thinking, okay, it's my fault. Maybe I shouldn't have balled up the picture and whatever. He calls, he's sorry, he this, he that. You know how the song go. So I'm not gonna lie, I didn't want to let him go, you know, just with that because we had invested so much time and mental. He was really like my best friend. So I stayed. Yeah, I stayed. So throughout the period of us being together, he had a mother that honestly, I wouldn't say I looked up to her, but I admired her. Okay. So, you know, as I later found out that his mom was very controlling and possessive. And how she would control her kids once they were adults is with money. Because she made decent money. You know, she made really good money, almost 200K, a year. So yeah. And where we live, that's like $500,000, you know? So that's what she would do. And he has two other brothers. One is maybe like 15 years older than him. Then it's him and his younger brother. And I think his younger brother is maybe like 5. So I noticed something. I noticed something back then. I noticed that his oldest brother's wife did not like her mother-in-law, which was his mom, their mom. She did not like her. And you can just tell, you can feel the vibe. Like, she didn't like her at all. And honestly, I didn't know what was going on. And I didn't like the fact that his wife did not like her. I felt like she was being disrespectful. Okay. So, and I noticed another thing too. When his older brother, he had a little girl like fresh out of high school. So, you know how that go. They were young. So, one way or another, his first child ended up staying with her grandmother, which is his mom. Because he had married, his new wife. And it was, I believe, I really don't know details on that. But she was staying with her grandma. So, I would notice that, like, she went out and she bought her oldest son a house and everything. And I was like, oh my gosh, she's so nice, she's a good mom. No. She did that so she can go over there whenever she got ready and say and do whatever. So in that situation, the current wife and the baby mama got into a fist fight in the yard because of her. Yeah. So eventually his older brother moves. Him and his wife, they go. They barely even visit. His wife, really never let her watch their kids. And now her first great grandbaby from her oldest brother's daughter, they don't bring that baby over there to see her either. They don't let her keep that baby. They don't bring that baby over there to see her. Nothing. She has to go to their house. And I was like, that was kind of, why would they do that? Why would they do that? And now I see why they did it. Okay. I'm just going to say this also. Like, my ex is almost 40 years old. And he's still, is titty fed by his mom. Literally. He literally lives 3 houses down from his mom. Yeah. So, and more than likely, he's the only son that she has that cannot stand on his 2 feet. Because a man wouldn't allow a woman to run him, whether it's his mom, wife, or whatever. Because a man's job is to lead, not to be led. So, the younger brother's got his stuff together. He has no kids. He's been working a really, 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 almost $100,000 job for 6 years now. No kids, and his own house and rental property. He's doing very well for himself. But his mom is not in his business like that because he don't allow it. Because he's a man. He made the transition from a boy into a man. My ex is just a male with a penis. He's not a man. Just a male with a penis. Okay. So, we're going to get back to me and my ex. Okay. So, we're dating and, all that good stuff. And, he hit me the first time. I didn't think it was going to happen again, just naive. Because once it happens the first time, it's going to happen again. So, he, before he went and moved from where we live now, he moved somewhere else because he was trying to be a rapper. Oh, I forgot this. When he was here before he left, he used to sell drugs. And I was staying at my grandma at the time. And he would convince me to take the drugs in my grandma's house because he didn't want to take it home. Because his mom was nosy and she would go through his things when he wasn't there. So, he convinced me to do it. And I did it. Because I wanted to please him. So I did it. So, that went on for, quite a while. That went on. And, we were really young at that time too. Maybe 22, 23. And, my ex was really controlling. He was controlling and he was possessive. And at that age, and you in your 20s, hey, I'm talking to, if you're watching this and you are in your 20s and you're in a bad relationship, get out. There's no reason for you to be there. Your youth is the most valuable thing next to your health that you have. You cannot buy youth. It's worth more than money. And I wasted my youth, putting my life in somebody's hand that really never cared about me at all. So I went my 20s where you're supposed to go out and hang out with your friends, do beer pongs and hang out and maybe kiss a girl, whatever. I was not allowed to do that. And when I would go out with my friends, he would like randomly show up wherever we were and be like, get in the car. And everybody would be like, really? Are you going to do that? You finna go with him? And I would go with him. Because if I didn't, it was going to be a fight. So I would go. And in the midst of him picking me up and, I'm not doing anything. Meanwhile, he's traveling. He's going out of town. He's partying. He's living the life that he should have been at that age. He went out and he enjoyed his life. And he made sure I didn't have a life. Is what he did. So, in a sense, I feel like my youth has been stolen from me. But you can't say it's stolen when you gave it to someone. So I gave it to him. And I shouldn't have done that. And now I am ripping for that. Because there's a lot of things that I didn't get to experience. A lot of things that I know nothing about. And it's too late now to try and do that. That's like a midlife crisis or something. At this stage, I don't have time for that. So, it's just something I missed out on. And sometimes I think, maybe it was a good thing. Because I can count on my hand how many times I've been to a club. So, okay. So, throughout the midst of this, my ex has never worked. Like, never. He had one job, and it was like at a grocery store, and his neighbor owned it, and he was like 17. So, after that, he's never had a job, okay? So, he's a street person, doing what he was doing on the streets. And I'm here to tell you now, ladies, if you are dating a guy, and that is what he's doing, yeah, it's fun now because you can smoke all the weed you want, pop all the pills you want, snort whatever it is you do. But I'm telling you, that shit is going to play out. It's going to play out and it's going to get old real fucking fast. And a person who is living that life is going nowhere 1,000 miles an hour. Either he's going to be dead, in jail, or just no good all the way around. So, that went on for as long as I've known him. And his mom came to me one day because she knew I had always kept a job. Like, I've always had a job. I never depended on my ex for nothing. Okay? So, I worked. And the same house that she bought for her oldest son And his family, after they moved, she asked me, or somebody was there, but anyway, whoever was there, they moved. And she was asked me that I wanted to stay in the house, you know? And I was like, yeah, sure, whatever. And I'm like, okay, I'm in good with mama. So I thought. Okay. And not only did this woman invite me to live in her house, even though I was going to be paying rent, I didn't ask her for that. She offered me. Okay. So, but now that I think about it, she offered it to me because she would have somewhat of control of what was going on in there, because the people who lived there previously, even though you're the landlady, you can't just go over there and just randomly doing stuff, So now that I think about it, she did that so she could A, get the money, and B, still be able to somewhat control what went on in my house from a distance through her son. Okay? And before all of that happened, I'm just a little bit just all over the place right now because I'm feeling all over the place. Before that happened, his mom had a triple bypass. My dad had one, and when he had his other heart attack, he passed away. So, yeah. But, yeah, she had a triple bypass, okay? And when she had that, her oldest son and his wife did not come and do anything, really. Nothing. Actually, his wife came to the house and was making plans on what she was going to do. They really thought that woman was going to die. They really did. Okay, so I move in for about a week or so. I'm helping, cooking her food, doing all this, because I love my ex. Excuse me, guys. Because I love my ex. And I felt like that I was getting in good with her. Like, ooh, I'm scoring brownie points, If he's doing something, she'll take up for me. Is what I was thinking. But I was wrong. Okay. So, fast forward. My ex moves out of town. He's like, I'm gonna move out of town because he wanted to pursue a rap career. Go figure. They all do. So he was like, he wanted to move to another state to pursue his career because he'd be better working there than it was where we were living. And I was okay with that. I was supportive, of him. And before he left, an incident happened, and my parents were really upset because he and I got to fighting like at a hotel or something. And he like bust my lip. It was just a lot. It was just a lot that went on. And my parents made me go put charges on him. Of course, he came, back around, and his mom told him, you better get her to drop them charges. Go over there, do what you got to do to make her drop them charges. So what did he do? I love you, this and that. So she gives him the money to drop. I didn't know that at the time. But she gives him the money to drop the charges. I think it was like $50 back then or something. So, like I said, now my ex is leaving. He's getting ready to go. And he was staying with a guy that was, living where he was going. So, you don't know a person till you live with him. Eventually that got old, about him staying there. And he didn't have any money. He had nothing but a vehicle. So I was still working, living in, in his mom's place, and I would send him money, once a week, whenever I could. Whenever I could, I would send him money so he could at least eat. If he can't do anything else, he can eat and put gas in his truck. So one day he calls me and he's like, "What you doing?" I'm like, "Nothing, at home." And this was kind of around the time when Barack Obama was elected. It's kind of when all this happened. And he was like, I have an idea. And I'm like, what is it? And he's like, you want to make some money? And I was like, yeah, what's up? You know, who don't want to make money? I don't know, nobody don't want to make money. So I was like, yeah, you know what? How are we gonna make money? You know? And he's like, I'm gonna go buy some drugs. I was like, okay. Okay. So he told me what the plan was, and I filed my taxes. And I ended up sending him like $1,600 of my return. So he buys the pills or whatever he had. And he would come back and forth, back and forth, back and forth, back and forth. And he was doing it so often to where it was beginning to be obvious. So he had to come up with something else. So his next plan was for me to get on a Greyhound bus and bring the drugs back. And at first, I was nervous. Of course, I didn't want to, I didn't want to do it, but I wasn't really thinking like what could happen at this point. So, what he would do to reassure me that he was in control, he would say,
head northwest.